Colorado wants to take a huge stand against child sex predators. Senators there want offenders executed, and their bill was approved yesterday by a Senate committee. While it's still far from law, the measure would apply the death penalty to any sicko convicted of raping a child under 12. There would need to be DNA evidence, and this would have to be their second offense against a child. Joining me is a Colorado state senator who supports this bill, Josh Penry. Senator Penry, it's an awful, awful thing to do something like this to a child. But the death penalty, explain that.
Well, it's a measure that was brought forward by a colleague of mine in the Senate that actually received significant bipartisan support in its first committee. And the rationale is that the state has a compelling interest to protect children, a protected class of citizens, and that we're not talking about just any ordinary sex act. We're talking about really the most heinous and barbaric, aggravated sex acts forcibly wrought on children. And you have to do it on multiple occasions. We're talking about people with a high propensity of offending again.
But the death penalty, that's excessive. No, that's extreme. I didn't mean to say excessive. That is extreme. Yeah. And not to mention, it's a lot of trouble to get a law passed. You all must feel extremely serious about this.
Well, I think all across the country, state legislatures and even at the federal level, Congress is wrestling with how to deal with this epidemic of sexual predators that are preying on our children. A number of states actually already have a capital crime for sex acts against children under 12, and more particularly against those under 5 years old. And so Colorado is following that lead. I think the message is loud and clear. These are awful acts that really, in many instances, destroy the lives of these children, even though they're not killed. And again, it's a very small class. The state of Louisiana has had this law on the books. Hundreds of people have been actually eligible for the capital crime under the statute, and only one person has been prosecuted on a capital basis. So it's really reserved for the worst of the worst, those who are likely to hurt, rape, and injure children again and again.
Critics say that it might be very difficult now for children who are sexually molested by family members to come forward if they know that they could actually cost a family member their life.
Well, it's one of the discussions you always have when you're talking about increasing penalties for sexual offenders. But for me, the most compelling interest we have is to make sure that justice is meted out. And the argument, if you were to flip that argument on its head, you would contend that if you lower them enough, maybe everybody would come forward and report it. At the end of the day, though, these are hard situations, and I think even the supporters of this measure recognize that some crimes, it's going to be hard to encourage these crimes to be reported. At the end of the day, though, we need to make sure that there is a strong deterrent signal sent from the state. And again, for this really narrow subset of people who rape children, young children in many cases, the finding is that really they deserve the highest punishment. Other states have done it, and on a bipartisan basis, Colorado is moving in that direction as well.
Your state has one person on death row right now. Do you think that the people in your state will feel okay about this passing? Do you think it has a chance in your state?
Well, again, it's only been through one committee, so there's a long way to go in the political process. I can tell you the response that I've received thus far has been overwhelming and positive. And again, it won't be used willy-nilly. Prosecutors will use these tools against people who have raped children once and are alleged to have raped a second time, and make a finding that they're likely to rape again. That's a universe of person that we need to protect our children from, and other states have adopted this approach, and on a bipartisan basis, Colorado, again, is considering moving in that same direction.
Colorado State Senator Josh Penry. Thank you, Senator.
Thanks for having me.